Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Nowruz Mubarak, right? Happy Nowruz. And in the midst of a very difficult time in everyone's lives, the world is unsettled, the virus is spreading, and here we are with all the hope of the 7 S's, the Tfshi, to remind us of the eternality of life on earth, and also remind us in a more direct way about why we're here, that Nowruz is a celebration that goes back millennia, thousands of years. And it reminds us that this extremist, violent group that seized control of Iran in 1979 is really an aberration, a temporary aberration in the history, the great, proud, long, civilized history of the Persian people. And with your help and our government's help, we will return to the right course of Persian history, which is expressed here in this room today. We can make it happen, and we will. There is at least one issue that remains bipartisan or nonpartisan, and that is the American people standing with the people of Iran in behalf of their freedom and justice there. And we will continue to do that until they receive full justice and freedom. A new day is dawning in Iran today, and it's not just wishful thinking. It's a fact, and I want to recite some of the events that have come together to give me the hope, based on reality, that the regime in Tehran is rotting, literally. It's collapsing, and the people of Iran are rising with extraordinary courage to take back their freedom and their opportunity. Now, why do I say that? And I'll just go back over the last 6 months since we gathered last year on the last Nowruz. Let's go back to November. Been mentioned briefly, but the tripling of oil prices and the courage of the people to come out into the streets and to protest, and the brutality of the regime led by Soleimani, an international war criminal, really, who brought, because they were protesting, asserting their rights, took action to kill hundreds of them, as you know. That was November. Then we go to January, and Soleimani got what he deserved, which was death at the hand of the United States military. And I don't say that lightly. It mattered not just most of all as it did to the people of Iran, it mattered to the people of America. Soleimani had the blood of hundreds of Americans on his hands, more than 600 by calculation of our own Defense Department, who were soldiers in Iraq, and thousands of Iranian citizens, and hundreds of thousands more where the IRGC has been bringing extremism, terrorism, and violence throughout the Middle East, particularly in places like Syria and Iraq and Yemen and Gaza and Libya. He went to a death that he deserved. The reaction to that, of course, was the protest of people in Iran, again, having the courage to come out in the streets and say that the country was better off without him. And then, of course, the shooting down of the Ukrainian airliner, which again brought university students out to protests. And then we go to the elections in February. And there's been talk of this before, but quite startling, really. The regime, as has been said, pressured people, saying almost that it was the religious duty of people in Iran to come out and vote. At one point, one of the leaders in the regime said, if the turnout here is not good in this election, it will make our enemies happy. 42.5% turnout, according to the official report. The estimates, as you've heard, are ultimately that 90% of the eligible voters in Iran didn't vote. And that really was the people speaking with their feet about what they hope for and pray for and are prepared to risk their lives for, which is the end of the Islamic Republic of Iran as we have known it for 40 years. It can happen. And now the latest current, and Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, who spoke very clearly to the people of Iran, incidentally, in the campaign leading up to the elections, and pleaded with people not to vote, because a vote would be a vote in favor of the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Rouhani and the clerical regime. And I think the people in Iran heard Mrs. Rajavi's voice, and that's one of the reasons they didn't come out to vote. But let's talk about the coronavirus that's on everybody's mind, really everybody in the world, everywhere in the world. And look at how this government in Tehran handled it. We know now that the government in Iran knew that there was an outbreak of this virus in the holy city of Qom, but they did nothing about it because they wanted to wait until after the election to make sure that the turnout would not be affected. In other words, they risked the lives of the people of Iran for their own political benefit. How much more of an argument could you make for the end of a regime? And throughout this entire period, the Iranian airliner, Mahan Air, owned, controlled by the IRGC, has continued to fly daily back and forth to China. There's some reason to believe that the disease may have broken out, the virus may have broken out in Iran because of the movement of Chinese students from China to Iran to study and back and forth. But it's outrageous when you think about it. Mahan Air continues to fly every day back and forth between Iran and China. And again, this says that the IRGC puts its own business interests ahead of the human interests of the people of Iran. The people get this, and that's why they are demanding change. So the question is, what now for policy from the United States of America? We have to support a change of the regime in Iran to the people of Iran to finally exercise their own self-government. That is what we're about. And the United States can't do that and won't do that. But the people of Iran will do it. And then the question is, how do we react? Do we stand by and muzzle ourselves, or do we speak out in support of the people of Iran and the support of American values of universal human rights? Dr. King said famously that the moral arc of the universe bends slowly, but it always bends toward justice. I believe that, and I'd add it always bends toward freedom. But we have the capacity to bend that arc more quickly. And honestly, the people in this room can make it happen if we work together to finally bring about what we want, a new day in Iran, and not to listen to people who say, regime change will lead to chaos as it did in Syria or Libya or Yemen. Part of why it won't lead to chaos is that Iran is the one who caused a lot of the chaos in those other countries. And part of the reason is that there is an alternative in Iran that's ready to govern, and that is the National Council of Resistance in Iran. President-elect Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, her support, I believe, in Iran grows every day. She is the alternative. We have an old phrase in American politics, you can't beat somebody with nobody. In Iran, there is somebody and somebodies around that somebody who are prepared to govern this great country and return it to its traditions. So let us hope and pray, but not just hope and pray, and work that next Nowruz, 2021, we can say not that a new day is near, but that a Nowruz, a new day, has begun for the people of Iran and the proud people of Persia. Thank you very, very much.